Hey y'all, this is Software Focus, and today we're going back to basics with Camtasia. You don't want to miss this. Today's episode will be focused on the SmartFocus animation available within Camtasia. SmartFocus is a easy but complicated to use animation. It can streamline a lot of your demonstration videos, but it can be a little complicated to get set up. It only works on Camtasia made recordings, so those are the .trec files. It will not work on any other video file. So to start, I'm going to import a recording from my last video. Pull that down onto the timeline. I'm going to mute the audio just for demonstration purposes here. Then, to get to SmartFocus, we go to Animations on the left. Top right of the Animations pane, click on Animations. And then SmartFocus is almost at the bottom, usually on the right side. And so SmartFocus is designed to try and follow like your mouse or where you're indicating in your recording to better focus on that section. You'll notice in a couple of my other videos I zoom up into the corner for a better view of what I'm clicking on. SmartFocus is intended to try and do that automatically. You'll see it's kind of hit and miss in the results, but it's certainly a place to start from. So if I click and drag SmartFocus down onto my recording in the timeline, a box is going to pop up saying, to apply SmartFocus animations, the editing dimensions need to be smaller than the dimensions of the following media. And then it lists the recording. Would you like to change your editing dimensions? This is required. If you hit no, SmartFocus isn't going to apply and it's not going to work. So we hit yes, and Camtasia automatically opens the project settings window where you adjust the canvas dimensions. So this recording was made at 1920 by 1080 or 1080p, but I need to go smaller in order for SmartFocus to work. So what I'm going to do is adjust the canvas dimensions down to the preset of 720 and hit apply. Now admittedly, this has now shrunk my 1080p video to 720, and that 720 is going to be what my final result is. But in shrinking, I'll be able to use SmartFocus. So although I did it once, I'm going to need to pull SmartFocus down again, because now Camtasia has everything set like it wants. So I'll drag it down and apply. It processed for a second, and now on my timeline you see the teal arrows of animations. And so if we go to the first one and play it, Camtasia moved the focus from where it was up into this upper corner, following the mouse cursor in the recording. And if I continue playing, we zoomed out. That was because Camtasia recognized the opening of this menu, so it made sure there was space for it. And if we go to the next one, it zooms back in, identifying that, hey, we're going to focus more on this again. Some of these make sense, some of them don't. So like this arrow, we go from looking at the corner over to a more focused look at the center of the screen. And then we kind of move over, then we kind of move back. So it gives you a starting place. It's not necessarily perfect. You can select any of these arrows and delete them. You can increase the time it takes to perform the animation. You can even move when the animation starts and ends, just like you would with any of the other animation options. You can also, like you see here, if you click on that far right dot and turn it red, you can adjust what it actually does. So all this animation did was move from the upper right corner of the recording to the center. Well, it didn't really center itself, so let's just click on that dot to turn it red, and then I'm just going to click on the canvas to drag the media over in the canvas. And so if I pull it back, you're going to see that instead of kind of being offset like it was, it's going to be more centered where I placed it. So in a nutshell, that is SmartFocus. It's a good starting place for animation editing, but you'll probably want to go back through and tweak what it gives you. It does have the downside of reducing your final output video resolution, but that is a requirement for what it's doing. Now, of course, this video begins zoomed in like this and it looks poor. What I would probably do, apply the SmartFocus, go ahead and change the dimensions. Set the scale to fit the new canvas dimensions. Then apply SmartFocus again. And now it's going to look much cleaner. It'll start where you want it, and it'll zoom in to where it needs to be and do the animations. One thing that, if you're really caught up on, oh, I gotta have 1080p output video, it's not acceptable to drop down to 720 or something smaller, then my best recommendation to you is record at a higher resolution to begin with. So if you need 1080p output, do a recording at 4K. Most modern systems nowadays are going to be either 720 or 1080. 4K is gaining more and more traction in the general use case, but a lot of mobile devices are still only running at 720 or 1080. Don't quote me on that. But so a user's probably not going to care too much if it's 720 over 1080, but I certainly understand those of you who need 1080p video as your output. There is a slight degradation in video quality when you take larger footage and shrink it down. This is downscaling, but you would get the same result if you were doing the other animations as described in my previous videos. You're still taking a 1080p video and actually you're blowing it up so you can zoom in on a section. So in that case, you're upscaling, which again is reducing quality. So long story short, SmartFocus is useful, a good starting place. It is a little complicated to get going, but it can take a fair amount of time out of your workflow depending on what your project is. This has been Software Focus. If you like this video, hit that like button, or click subscribe to join the channel for future videos. If you have any feedback or ideas for future videos, please leave a comment down below. Keep focusing.